Pokemon Sun and Moon quickly became one of my favorite Pokemon experiences ever, and while it did feel like the game tried to drag you around a little too much, the story is still really good, and the writing of the game is freaking fantastic. So I want to do a top 10 video of my favorite quotes from Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, all of these aren't necessarily going to be from the story. They could just be something I found absolutely hilarious or just really insightful things from the game. So let's start out with number 10. Magmar pulled out a nice toasty quick ball from, well, somewhere. This is deep on so many levels. That's going to be another part of the list. Just like a lot of things that are way too meta, because this has almost an implication of strangeness, but at the same time, you do have to wonder, it's like, yeah, where do we hold all of these items? Where do Pokemon, where can they hold their items? And where's this Magmar getting this quick ball to just kind of go and hand over to you? So it's a nice little interesting quote that kind of shows the depth that Pokemon was going for in Sun and Moon versions. Now, number 9 on this list is pretty fresh, because I like going over to Po-Town and enjoying myself over here in the Pokemon Center. Even though it's run down, Grunts will still help us out. Even though we're enemies, we can go and pay over for some service right here. So if you give us $10, we'll help you out by healing your team before your next bout. Sounds good, yo. I mean, there's so much craziness going on, not only in this Pokemon Center, but also just in this picture right here. You can see that it's like, okay, we get to communicate with the Grunts on their own language, but we're also enemies. Like, why are they really that sad and that desperate for money? And also, like, there's no power. The place doesn't work. They do some kind of like sketchy ghetto way of healing up your Pokemon, and it's super cheap. Considering that Pokédollars are probably based off of yen, that's like 10 cents for US dollar terms. So it's like, here, give us a dime, and then we'll be able to heal up your team, which you can then use to go and body all of our friends. And I mean, what's up with that guy over there? Is he dead? Like, this place is just in such disrepair. It's very, very concerning. And then, for number 8 on this list, you know, there's a lot of innuendos in the game that I could have just kind of lowbrowed for most of the list, but I'll put them in this one place, you know. The flavor from the rare bones seems to fill my whole mouth. Yeah, there's just a lot of really interesting quotes in Pokemon Sun and Moon that could really be pulled up. And a lot of people, like, this was like the big one that I saw getting tweeted out a lot. It's tough fetching Pokeballs from my bikini. And then it's one of those ones where it's like, where do I get my Pokeballs from battle? Tee-hee, girl secret. What was that? Was that from, like, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? Because I remember seeing that one around. So whenever it comes to bikinis and girls swimming around, it seems like those quotes start to get really interesting. Then we have Kukui. Now, while Kukui is the man, his quotes are pretty interesting. My body is ready. I mean, there's an actual my body is ready quote inside of Pokemon, which is pretty awesome, but, you know, give it everything you've got. My body is ready. Woo. Kukui is just absolutely nuts. For number 7, we have this right here, and the reason why this made it on the list for me is because this quote, it made me feel like this hits you on so many levels, because it's like the first time Hal gets super serious. So it's like, hey son, did you know? And you immediately get to respond. He says, I haven't even finished the question yet. It's like, this is the only time you get to see Hal moderately annoyed at any point in the game, because he's always so happy. Even when he's like getting beaten up, he's like, man, I could have tried harder next time, you know, I'm gonna get you one day. Like, he's such a cheery guy, and then that happens. Also, just kind of mocks all of the dialogue in the game, that the story does kind of go on for a bit, but it seems like Game Freak really wanted to tell their story. They really wanted to get you involved and engaged. But they even found like a little bit of time to poke fun at that, I feel. That, you know, you're just mashing away, going through dialogue, and then you respond with, of course. Or it also kind of mocks that it doesn't sound like your decisions really mean much. That if you say yes, well, then you move on ahead. If you say no, you're given a reason why you should say yes. So you just kind of say something, it's like, I haven't even finished the question. It's like, ooh, you got me on that one, Game Freak. Good job. Next up, we have a little deep look into just how the team organizations go and Grunts in general. Please don't tell me that's my skull tank you're wearing. Anyway, we should write our names on them so we don't mix things up. And then it gets serious. Hello? Our names are all Grunt. What's the point? That's just brutal on so many levels. Because, I mean, they do go by, like, Grunt A and Grunt B, but I guess they're just like, we're all Grunts. So, I mean, we just kind of exist as this pool of Grunts, and nothing else really matters about that. So, it makes you really feel, you know, press F for all the Grunts out there. You know, all the organizations, they're all Grunts, and they just kind of seem to be this ambiguousness of Grunts, and this just kind of really pokes fun at that. So, that's why I mean, the dialogue in this game is amazing, it's creative, and they can also be absolutely hilarious, like this right here. This Grunt, I'd do anything if you pay me for it. Like, you want to see me get hit with a Hyper Beam? Dude, that's like, that was, when I saw that, I laughed for a solid minute, because that captures everything about these Grunts, you know? They're fairly poor, they're fairly ghetto, You know, they just kind of seem to get along however they want to with their own style and stuff. And this just seems like some guy on the street that really, he's looking for money, is like, yo, if you give me $5, I'll let you punch me in the face. But this is the Pokemon equivalent. Like, this guy is unhinged. This guy is absolutely nuts. Like, yo, I'll eat a Hyper Beam for that money. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty hilarious. I gotta put this one on the list. And then for number 4 on this list, we have Team Skull once again. The Team Skull grunts just made the game for me. That every time they showed up, I was happy. That even though you gotta feel bad for them, their dialogue is absolutely amazing. And this, if you did not pick the second option in the first trial, you missed out on something amazing. So the grunts show up, hey, Berry Thief boys, back again, remember us? And then you're like, no. So every time I got the opportunity, I just went and screwed with these guys. And then it seems like when you say, nope, don't remember you, their lives are shattered. Like, they just lost everything in that, oh, I see. Like, they look actually hurt that you don't remember who they are. And then their decision was, oh, let's swap places. So it also kind of shows that they're not the smartest people. It's like, oh man, there's no way he could forget us, right? Like, we're super memorable. Oh, we're standing in the wrong place. So you have these people that look absolutely identical, and they're all grunts, and they're just in this ambiguous pool of grunt. And then they're like, wait, I'm gonna go to the right side, and then you go to the right side. Yeah, now he's gotta remember us. All right, let's go. I just love that. Just because we switch places, you can't tell who we are anymore? Oh, man. And now we're getting into the top 3 best quotes in Pokemon Sun and Moon. And I mean, just the weight and the power of Guzma actually being scared and then looking at you and going, y'all are stupid. I mean, there's so many amazing things about this. Like, I'm playing Pokemon, guys. This is a Pokemon game, and we have someone saying, y'all are stupid in a Pokemon game. That's just awesome. And also just Guzma in general. I love Guzma. He's one of my favorite characters from Pokemon Sun and Moon. And just the fact that he is that unfiltered, at least by a Pokemon standard, that he says whatever he wants, he thinks whatever he wants, and he sees you guys show up, he's like, you guys are morons. Why? There's no stop. Did you just see what happened back there? Now you're sucked into this. Like, the way that the story unfolds gets absolutely crazy, and then this is like that moment where it all really sinks in, and it's, y'all are stupid. There's so much weight behind it, and I absolutely love it. So, there we go, guys. That's going to be number 3 on the list. Number 2. Alright. Here's what I have to say. Kyoei's entire trial had me in stitches, laughing, crying, confused, just everything. Like, when his hiker friend shows up, and just out of nowhere, it's like, oh, can you spot the difference? Yeah, there's a guy here now. What is that? And then he says at the end, it's like, this is what got me. My hiker friend was so pleased by your right answer, he simply had to battle you. That doesn't even make sense. I could not, and I still cannot wrap my mind about how that unfolds. It's like, hey, do you notice me? Yeah, that's cool. I'm so pleased by this. Let's battle. So it's something like that. And then when Salazzle shows up, all of the responses are the correct answer. I did not know what to do. My mind broke right there because it's like the black Pokemon, the new Pokemon, the suspicious Pokemon. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's the black Pokemon. Wait, no, it's also the new Pokemon. Wait, it's also a suspicious Pokemon. Wait, why is the hiker coming in? Why is this Pokemon here? And then just the fact that it's like, what was different from the last one? Or what was different from the dance? It's like, that picture is worth 1,000 words. And ironically, that's the Marowak taking a picture. So just this right here captures the insanity that is the dialogue in Pokemon Sun and Moon. But then, we need to go on to the number 1 best line in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, when it comes to Pokemon, I feel like everyone can share this sentiment in that last grind against the organization is never fun. Oh, man, I think one of the worst ones is when you go back to, like, Pokemon Gold and Silver version. Whenever you trip the sensor and then more grunts show up, it's like you just see, like, a wall of sensors, like, man, I'm gonna have to battle like 20 of these guys. And that just doesn't feel fun. Well, Pokemon Sun and Moon decided to make fun of that. You go to the last guy, and he's like, go right ahead. I'm no numbskull. I don't fight battles I can't win. And that was at the exact perfect time I needed that. Because I just battled so many people. I'm trying to beat the game. I just want to get this mission over with. I see a row of Team Skull Grunts. I'm like, I'm going to go and one-shot all of these guys, and then I'm going to have to battle their leader. And then I get to the last one, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna lose. You know you're gonna win. I'm just gonna step this one out. Like, that was the most relief the most joy I have ever felt in Pokemon, and I also laughed for about a solid 5 minutes at just the reaction of, like, that's Team Skull. Team Skull breaks all the molds of any of the other evil teams out there, that they're silly, they wacky, they play by their own rules, and this guy, he completely failed his duties. Like, they're also supposed to be, like, fighting to protect the organization, to protect their boss. He's like, ha, screw this, I don't care anymore, I'm out. It was just absolutely amazing. Now, I do want to go over some honorable mentions for the end of this video because the dialogue in Pokemon Sun and Moon is just so great, so edgy at times. Like this from Nanu. If you don't make it, I'll be sure your remains at least get back home. Like, dang. He's like, yeah, you're gonna die. You go in there, those guys are ridiculous. You're just gonna straight up die. And then there's also the dialogue with Looker. Like, Luger just comes in, "Y un desastro, can you please speak in English?" Like, that was just weird, and I think it's also just kind of funny how that kind of happened. That Annabelle's like, what are you doing? I know you're weird, but this is just a little too weird. Calm down, speak English, be good to go. Now, one thing that really disappoints me about this quote is I looked up a Let's Play in another language, and it doesn't have it in English. Like, that would have been absolutely amazing if, like, all of the translation teams just kind of rotated out, and then they translated it to something else. It's like, hey, can you speak in our native language and not English or not whatever other thing for Looker? But he says his own thing, and I guess it still kind of works out. Also, just the whole get in the bag, Nebby. Like, I don't think that that's a shocking or hilarious or interesting quote on its own, but all the memes about Nebby getting back in the bag are absolutely hilarious, so they definitely took this mundane quote to a new level, and that's why it's more of an honorable mention than something that made it onto the list. But yeah, like, I love Pokemon Sun and Moon. The gameplay, the story, I was involved with the whole time. I was trying to beat it as fast as possible, and I was still able to get sucked into the story. I was still able to enjoy it a lot, and there were some times where it did pull me out of it. It's like, oh, now go here. Oh, you just went here? Well, now go back here. So there were some annoyances, of course. Like, the game isn't perfect, but the dialogue, the text, you know, every couple minutes, you're going to get a nice, hearty laugh out of the game, or at least something that's pretty funny. So there you go, top 10 quotes in Pokemon. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.